You did not lose that money to the market. You lost it to yourself on a random Tuesday while calling it patience. You remember the moment, the email you didn't send, the account you didn't open, the price you told yourself you'd revisit when things settled down. Things never settled down. That was never the plan. The plan was for you to wait long enough that waiting became who you are. Here is the belief you need to bury before this video is over. Caution is not always virtue. Sometimes caution is fear, dressed in a suit, sitting quietly at your kitchen table, telling you it's protecting you. It is not protecting you. It is billing you every month. Compound interest in reverse. That is not carelessness. That is a slow, silent transfer of everything you could have owned, moving quietly from your hands into someone else's, one skipped decision at a time. Machiavelli wrote that everyone sees what you appear to be, and few experience what you really are. You have built a public performance out of being responsible. Steady job, steady habits, steady excuses. But the real ledger, the one no one else reads, shows a different story. It shows the deal you flinched on, the raise you didn't ask for, the idea you buried because someone might have laughed. Read this twice. The enemy was never outside you. It was never the economy, never your boss, never bad timing. The enemy has your face. It has been making your decisions for years, and it has been very, very good at making them look like wisdom. Tonight, you meet it directly. 5 phases, 5 ways it has been draining you without your permission. And there is one move, the one the wealthy make in total silence, that starves this thing before it can ever open its mouth again. We will get there. You are not ready for it yet. You will be. Because if you don't kill this today, it doesn't stay the same size. It grows quietly with your income, matching every raise, every windfall, every stroke of good fortune with a new, more sophisticated way to talk you out of using it. The richer you get without addressing this, the more expensive the sabotage becomes. Phase 1. The saboteur you can't see. Picture a sheep standing inside a fence. The sheep did not build that fence. A hand it never met built it, decades ago, for reasons that had nothing to do with the sheep's life. And yet the sheep has come to love the fence. The sheep calls the fence safety. The sheep tells the other sheep that the ones who leave the field are reckless, that the wolves out there are real, that staying inside the wire is simply what smart animals do. You are not a sheep, but you have a fence, and you built this one yourself, plank by plank, decision by decision. And then you forgot you were the carpenter. This creature is patient in a way you have never been. It doesn't need to win today. It only needs you to blink, to hesitate, to say, next month, one more time. Multiply that one delay by every week you've been alive, and you start to see the shape of what it's actually cost you. Not a single dramatic loss, but a career-length pattern of small, reasonable retreats. This is not about laziness. This is not about a lack of intelligence. This is not about bad luck. This is about a version of you that took over years ago and never asked your permission. A quiet, competent, extremely persuasive version whose only job is to keep you exactly where you are. It doesn't sabotage you with disasters. Disasters are loud, and loud things get noticed. It sabotages you with reasonable-sounding sentences. Not yet. Too risky right now. Let's wait for a sign. The sign never comes, because the sign was never the point. The waiting was the point. Here's what the broke never see. The saboteur doesn't look like an enemy. It looks like the responsible one in the room. It sounds like your mother's voice, or your first boss's voice, or the voice of whoever taught you that ambition was dangerous and small was safe. It has been managing your money, your time, and your nerve for so long that you've stopped noticing there are two of you in every decision. The one who wants to build something, and the one who has 1,000 calm, sensible reasons why today is not the day. You will not fix this by trying harder. You cannot out-hustle a saboteur that lives inside your own reasoning. You have to name it first. Precisely. Out loud, if you have to. Because the moment you can see the fence, you stop mistaking it for the horizon. Phase 2, the comfort trap. You know the coworker. 20 years at the same desk, same parking spot, same lanyard, replaced twice. He calls it loyalty. He calls it stability. He calls it, not everyone needs to be a millionaire. Watch his hands when he says it. They're steady, because steady is the only trick he has left. He is not free. He is anchored, and he has spent 2 decades convincing himself the anchor is a home. This is fear wearing comfort's clothes. Comfort tells you the current paycheck is enough, that the current title is impressive, that risk is for people with nothing to lose, never mentioning that you have already lost the only thing that mattered, which was time. Comfort does not ask you to fail. Comfort asks you to never try, because trying might expose that the safety was never real. You cannot save your way into wealth. You cannot loyalty your way into wealth. You cannot tenure your way into wealth. There is one door, and it is marked ownership. And comfort has spent your whole career quietly nailing it shut so you would stop reaching for the handle. Seneca said it plainly, centuries before your paycheck existed. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Flip it. It is not the man with too little capital who stays broke. It's the man who mistakes comfort for capital, who calls his cage a castle because he's tired of building. Look at the numbers honestly. A decade of stable income, never invested, never leveraged into an asset, is a decade the coworker's employer effectively borrowed his labor at a discount and gave it back to him in gratitude instead of equity. He thinks he made a safe trade. He made the only trade he was ever offered, and never once asked if a better one existed. And notice this too. The coworker isn't lazy, and he isn't stupid. He is, in most rooms, considered the reliable one, the mature one, the one who has his head on straight. That reputation is real. It's also the exact currency comfort trades in. It pays you in respect, so you never notice it never paid you in equity. But it gets worse. Comfort has a partner, and the partner is even more dangerous because it doesn't feel like weakness at all. It feels like being a good person. Before phase 3, an oath. Comment, "I see the saboteur," if you just recognized yourself in the last 2 minutes. I want to know who's still here and who's ready to keep going. Phase 3, the approval leak. You know the friend, the one who flexes a leased watch and calls it a rival. The one who calls your hesitation wisdom, not because it's wise, but because your fear makes his fear feel normal. Misery doesn't just love company. Misery recruits it, quietly, one flattering comment at a time. Here's the part they never teach you. Some of your money isn't spent, and it isn't even saved. It's leaked. It bleeds out through the need to be seen as careful, as reasonable, as not one of those people who takes big swings. You didn't.
Invest because your brother-in-law raised an eyebrow at dinner. You didn't ask for the raise because your coworkers might have called it arrogant. You didn't start the thing because starting it would have made the people who never started anything feel smaller. This is not caution. This is not humility. This is not being a team player. This is renting your ambition back to a room full of people who need you small so they can feel tall. The wolf does not ask the sheep for approval before it hunts. The fox does not ask the henhouse for permission before it moves. You have been asking people who have never built anything whether it's safe for you to build. And they have been answering, honestly. Because from where they stand, it isn't safe. It was never going to be safe for them. It was only ever going to be safe for you. Notice something else about the room you keep asking. It has never built anything either. It cannot rate a risk it has never taken. Its opinion about your future is not wisdom. It's an alibi, borrowed so it can keep explaining its own stillness. You have been polling people about a game they refused to play and grading your ambition on their scorecard. Machiavelli never wrote a line about being liked that wasn't a warning. It is much safer to be feared than loved. And here is the money translation. It is much safer to be necessary in a room than agreeable in it. The approval leak stops the day you stop needing the room's permission to move. Phase 4, the procrastination tax. You know the dread. It comes on Sunday night, right around the time the light changes outside your window. It isn't about Monday. It was never about Monday. It's the sound of another week arriving with the same unopened account, the same unsent proposal, the same idea still sitting exactly where you left it, untouched, aging like milk instead of wine. You call this not being ready yet. Stay with me. Not ready is a costume procrastination wears so it doesn't have to admit its name. There is no perfect entry point. There is no arrival of confidence that isn't built by moving first. You are not waiting for readiness. You are waiting for permission from a version of yourself that will never give it. Because giving it would mean admitting the wait was the sabotage all along. Now watch how the game actually works. 10 years, one decision, deferred once a week, every week, for 10 years. That's over 500 decisions you didn't make. Even if each one was small, $100 invested, an hour spent building instead of scrolling, one email sent instead of drafted and deleted. Compounded? That isn't a rounding error. That's a six-figure hole in your life. And it doesn't show up as a single dramatic loss. It shows up as nothing. No headline, no collapse, just a quiet erosion that only becomes visible the day you finally add it up. And by then, you've paid the tax 1,000 separate times without ever once feeling the sting. This is the cruelty of procrastination. It never feels like losing. Losing would at least teach you something. This feels like nothing. And nothing is exactly what it costs you, until it's everything. Here's the trap inside the trap. The procrastinating mind is not stupid. It is, in its own way, protecting you from ever finding out whether you were good enough to win. As long as you never truly try, you never truly fail. You just stay in the waiting room forever, telling yourself the show hasn't started yet, while everyone else's life plays out in the theater next door. And the tragedy compounds in one more direction. Every week you don't move, you get a little more comfortable not moving, and the muscle required to act gets a little weaker. This is not a metaphor. Avoidance is a skill, and you have been practicing it daily, getting better and better at the one skill guaranteed to keep you poor. Most people quit right before this part. Not because the next step is hard, because the next step is simple. And simple is unbearable to a mind that has spent years building elaborate reasons to stay still. One more oath before the end. Comment, I build, I don't wait, if you're done bleeding out over things that never even feel like losses. Phase 5, the kill sequence. Here is the move I promised you at the start, the one made in silence. The wealthy do not spend their lives fighting their own weaknesses in public, gritting their teeth, white-knuckling their way past temptation one decision at a time. That's exhausting. And exhausted people lose. Instead, they do something colder and far more effective. They redesign the environment so the coward inside never gets a vote. They automate the investment before the fear wakes up to argue about it. They delete the app that lets hesitation feel productive. They tell one person their plan out loud, publicly enough that backing out costs more than moving forward. They remove the exit before they need the discipline not to use it. This is not willpower. Willpower is a finite currency, and the saboteur is patient enough to outlast it. This is architecture. You do not defeat the version of you that sabotages your wealth by arguing with it at 11 at night. You defeat it by making sure it never gets the microphone in the first place. This is not motivation. This is not a mindset shift. This is not a system you'll appreciate someday. This is the only thing that has ever actually worked for every person who went from owned to owner. They stopped negotiating with the coward and started building rooms it couldn't enter. This is why the quiet ones win. Not because they are braver in the moment. They've simply made the moment irrelevant. The decision was made weeks ago, in a calm hour, by a version of them that wasn't afraid yet. All the coward gets to do now is watch. The same way you'd watch a train leave a station you already decided not to be standing on. Rome did not fall to an invading army it couldn't have handled. Rome fell to comfort, to citizens who had grown too soft, too entertained, too convinced that softness was simply what advanced civilizations looked like. Your own empire, however small it is right now, dies the exact same way. Not in a single dramatic defeat, in 10,000 small surrenders that all felt reasonable at the time. So here is who you are now, if you actually do this. You are calm in rooms that used to make you anxious about money, because you no longer need those rooms to approve of you. You move first and explain later, or not at all. You watch people scramble to look busy, to look responsible, to look sensible. And you recognize the performance now, because you used to give it yourself. You are not louder than you were. You are quieter. Quiet is what it looks like when you stop negotiating with your own fear. There is a price for this, and no one will tell you about it up front, so I will. You will lose access to people who needed your hesitation to make their own feel normal. Some of them will call you different. Some will call you cold. Let them. Isolation from the fence is not a side effect of freedom. It is the toll booth on the only road that leads there. The version of you that needed permission to be rich has to die today. Not next quarter, not after one more sign. Today. It was never protecting you. It was only ever protecting itself. You will feel the urge to mourn it a little, and that's fine. Let yourself. It kept you company for a long time, even if all it ever did was keep you small. Then close that door for good. Because a house cannot have two owners, and it is finally, only, entirely yours.
People will ask what changed. Don't over-explain it. The old you would have needed them to understand, would have needed the story to land just right so they'd approve of the transformation too. The new you doesn't need the room's verdict anymore. You already rendered it yourself, alone, in the only courtroom that ever actually mattered. There are moves beyond this, quieter ones, sharper ones, the kind that don't survive well in a public feed because they ask too much of people who aren't finished killing the coward yet. Those come later, for the ones who are actually done waiting. If you're one of them, prove it. Comment, "The broke version of me died today," if this is the day you stop financing your own sabotage. I want to see who's serious. And if you want the next kill sequence before the algorithm decides to bury this one, subscribe now. Not as a favor to me, but as your own initiation.